Saturday. Good morning again. I didn't get this enveloped yesterday before the postman came, so I'll let some more. We have one mail a day at 12 o'clock. Rural delivery is a blessing to the farmers. Our postman not only delivers letters, but he runs errands for us in town at 5 cents an errand. Yesterday, he brought me some shoestrings and a jar of cold cream. I sunburned all the skin off my nose before I got my new hat. And a blue Windsor tie and a bottle of blacking, all for 10 cents. That was an unusual bargain owing to the largeness of my order. Also, he tells us what is happening in the great world. Several people on the route take daily papers, and he reads them as he jogs along and repeats the news to the ones who don't subscribe. So, in case a war breaks out between the United States and Japan, or the president is assassinated, or Mr. Rockefeller leaves $1 million to the John Grier home, you needn't bother to write. I'll hear it anyway. No sign yet of Master Jervy. But you should see how clean our house is, and with what anxiety we wipe our feet before we step in. I hope he'll come soon. I'm longing for someone to talk to. Mrs. Semple, to tell you the truth, gets sort of monotonous. She never lets ideas interrupt the easy flow of her conversation. It's a funny thing about the people here. Their world is just this single hilltop. They're not a bit universal, if you know what I mean. It's exactly the same as at the John Grier home. Our ideas there were bounded by the four sides of the iron fence, only I didn't mind it so much because I was younger and was so awfully busy. By the time I'd got all my beds made and my babies' faces washed and had gone to school and come home and had washed their faces again and darned their stockings and mended Freddie Perkins' trousers — he tore them every day of his life — and learned my lessons in between, I was ready to go to bed, and I didn't notice any lack of social intercourse. But after 2 years in a conversational college, I do miss it. And I shall be glad to see somebody who speaks my language. I really believe I've finished, Daddy. Nothing else occurs to me at the moment. I'll try to write a longer letter next time. Yours always, Judy.
P.S. The lettuce hasn't done at all well this year. It was so dry early in the season. August 25th. Well, Daddy, Master Jervy's here, and such a nice time as we're having. At least I am, and I think he is too. He has been here 10 days, and he doesn't show any signs of going. The way Mrs. Semple pampers that man is scandalous. If she indulged him as much when he was a baby, I don't know how he ever turned out so well. He and I eat at a little table set on the side porch, or sometimes under the trees, or when it rains or is cold, in the best parlor. He just picks out the spot he wants to eat in, and Carrie trots after him with the table. Then, if it has been an awful nuisance and she has had to carry the dishes very far, she finds $1 under the sugar bowl. He is an awfully companionable sort of man, though you would never believe it to see him casually. He looks at first glance like a true Pendleton, but he isn't in the least. He is just as simple and unaffected and sweet as he can be. That seems a funny way to describe a man, but it's true. He's extremely nice with the farmers around here. He meets them in a sort of man-to-man fashion that disarms them immediately. They were very suspicious at first. They didn't care for his clothes. And I will say that his clothes are rather amazing. He wears knickerbockers and pleated jackets and white flannels and riding clothes with puffed trousers. Whenever he comes down in anything new, Mrs. Semple, beaming with pride, walks around and views him from every angle and urges him to be careful where he sits down. She is so afraid he will pick up some dust. It bores him dreadfully. He's always saying to her, "Run along, Lizzie, and tend to your work. You can't boss me any longer. I've grown up." It's awfully funny to think of that great big long-legged man. He's nearly as long-legged as you, Daddy, ever sitting in Mrs. Semple's lap and having his face washed. Particularly funny when you see her lap. She has 2 laps now and 3 chins. But he says that once she was thin and wiry and spry and could run faster than he. Such a lot of adventures we're having. We've explored the country for miles, and I've learned to fish with funny little flies made of feathers. Also to shoot with a rifle and a revolver. Also to ride horseback. There's an astonishing amount of life in Old Grove. We fed him on oats for 3 days, and he shied at a calf and almost ran away with me.
Wednesday. We climbed Sky Hill Monday afternoon. That's a mountain near here. Not an awfully high mountain, perhaps. No snow on the summit, but at least you are pretty breathless when you reach the top. The lower slopes are covered with woods, but the top is just piled rocks and open moor. We stayed up for the sunset and built a fire and cooked our supper. Master Jervie did the cooking. He said he knew how better than me. And he did, too, because he's used to camping. Then we came down by moonlight, and when we reached the wood trail where it was dark, by the light of an electric bulb that he had in his pocket. It was such fun. He laughed and joked all the way and talked about interesting things. He's read all the books I've ever read, and a lot of others besides. It's astonishing how many different things he knows. We went for a long tramp this morning and got caught in a storm. Our clothes were drenched before we reached home, but our spirits not even damp. You should have seen Mrs. Semple's face when we dripped into her kitchen. "Oh, Master Jervie! Miss Judy! You are soaked through! Dear, dear, what shall I do? That nice new coat is perfectly ruined." She was awfully funny. You would have thought that we were 10 years old and she a distracted mother. I was afraid for a while that we weren't going to get any jam for tea.